Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. So, man, this happened over the weekend. Every year, every year, ever since I remember being little, as a kid, because I am from Nova Scotia, my community, we would always have these events at Africville. That's what it's called, Africville. We're historically ancestry of descendants of slaves, right? They go to Africville to have community events, family barbecue and all this kind of stuff, right? So, over this past weekend, around 10 p.m. around 10 p.m., two groups of, individuals, a group of individuals, two dudes were shooting at each other. And it left the community now upset. Now, this has never happened in the previous years that I could remember going. People go there, they're with their family, they're with their friends, they're with their, the people that, they grew up with, or people come from all over Canada to go to this event to kind of like see what's going on with the event and stuff like that. Now there's a shooting there. Now people are upset, man. And like, this is one of the reasons why I left Nova Scotia, because I'm like, yo, man, the forecast for this here and Canada, it doesn't matter where you are, but especially Nova Scotia, in the Black community, people just hate other Black people. They don't want to see them doing well. They don't want to see them shining. So that's one of the reasons why I left. But anyway, here's the article. Hateful and senseless terror. Nova Scotia Black community left shaken as police continue to search for shooting suspect. Families who attend a reunion in Africville, historically a historic neighborhood north in Halifax, over the weekend, are still packing up their belongings, and 2 days after a shooting ended the annual event early. My heart aches, and it's painful because we have people that are injured, and that's something they're going to think about for the rest of their lives. Police say they're searching for two gunmen who exchanged shots in a crowd of people during the annual reunion, which brings together former residents and their descendants of Africville. There were 5 individuals that were struck by gunfire. That's a lot of people. All 5 individuals were taken to hospital, one of which was a teen with life-threatening injuries. CTV News has been told the injured teen is still in hospital. And my heart goes out to the victims in this story. While community members say the gunmen are not from Africville, some believe people at Saturday's event know who was involved. Of course, they know who's involved. Of course, they do. People know who did this, said Paula Grant Smith, who attended the reunion. They say, I don't want to be a snitch. Speak. Oh, it's time for it to stop. Well, it's not going to stop. Relating to my own personal grievance, it's not going to stop. It just continues. It's one of the reasons why I left. Because especially in Nova Scotia, if shots ring out, if there's a stabbing or something like that, people are not going to tell the truth. People are not going to say, you know what? This is what happened, and I'm going to stand 10 toes down and be honest about what happened. They just keep quiet because they don't want the repercussions of those people and their family members coming for them or seeing their family or their children in a certain place. So I understand it, but it doesn't make it right. And so this thing is going to keep going on, right? A traumatic experience when I was a kid, growing up as a teen, going into a young adult, that experience still haunts me to this day. And yet it still continues. Now the evilness is attacking innocent people at a family reunion. It's really crazy. It's really crazy, right? But no, they're not going to speak out. I'm sorry, they're not going to do that. They don't care. In the last 41 years of hosting the Africville reunion, it's the first time something like this has happened. Exactly. So I'm 35. So all the times that I've went, even growing up as a kid, nothing happened. I'm not going to say we didn't, the people like that I know and the people that know me, we're not saying we didn't have beef. We just knew that like there was morals, values, principles back then. We just knew that, hey, this is a family reunion. We're just going to enjoy it. After the reunion, if we got to squabble, then we'll squabble after it, but not during. We just forget about it for, you know what I'm saying, 24 hours to 48 hours. They can't do this. There is none of that. I just got up this morning and I cried. I think I've cried every day that I've been down here. It was just chaos here. Later, when I was with my friend, she learned her granddaughter had been shot, niece had been shot, another cousin of mine was shot in the leg. Grant Smith says she remembers hearing the gunshots ring out. At first, I thought it was firecrackers. I ran towards it because my daughter and her husband were there, and so were my grandkids. We were so relaxed that we never thought anything like that would happen. And now I'm afraid to say some people will not come back, but I hope they do. The president of Africville Genealogy Society, I think that's Irvine Carving, said the incident will not impact future reunions. Well, that's good. We will not allow the incidents of Saturday to define who we are as people. We will definitely not. We definitely won't. We are Africville strong. Carvey said he's holding an emergency meeting Tuesday evening to address safety. My recommendations to my board is that we have a safety audit done on the site in terms of what we would need to do to secure this area to make sure that people that are in here are safe. The government of Nova Scotia says it has opened a helpline for anyone seeking counseling after the shooting. That's not going to do anything. I mean, it's open, but it's not going to do anything. Sorry. The Ministry of African Nova Scotian Affairs said on social media Monday that province's thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families. She was deeply saddened and concerned by the violence. It's going to continue. We remain committed to supporting the Africville community during this difficult time. And then there's the church there. That's a very historical church here. Around 10 p.m. on Saturday, police responded to reports of gunshots at the Africville Park and found 5 people injured. Vincent Williams, an organizer of the reunion, wrote in a Facebook post that despite the hateful and senseless terror that night, the community will pick up the pieces. We will heal by the grace of God. And the people responsible for the shooting, he said, if you have ancestral connections to our community, which I do, you are all shameful and a disgrace to yourselves, families, and community. It's talking about the shooters. Our ancestors are rolling in their graves. They've been rolling in their graves before the shooting. Because, again, there is no reparations in this story. Like, there is no reparations towards the historically Black community, my ancestry. This is why I don't like the Democrats. This is why I say the Democrats are the party of slavery. And let me be clear, your selfish attempt to break us has failed. You are not welcome. And anyone like-minded is never welcome on our sacred land. Now, I like that quote. Because if you're like-minded, these evil people, you're not welcome. And I like that quote. So I agree with that statement. Yeah, I agree with Vincent M. Williams, that statement. So let me give you this article here. But it's just sad, man. I sent some screenshots to my mom. And I said, Mom, see?
Well, the search continues.
Mom, I said, all of it, the politics, the high inflation, people not being able to find a job, high immigration, cost of living, everything is in the pot. People are living in tents on the side of the road. You think people are going to show up and just party and enjoy it? No, because there's people that don't have the same emotions as you. So expect violence.
This evening for suspects involved in a shooting that injured 5 people and terrorized a family reunion event at Africville. One of the victims remains.
You know, I was hanging with this chick that I was just hanging with this chick. And, she's like, oh, my family has gone down, left Ontario to go down there. And I was thinking, like, I could go, but no, I'm not going. I'm glad I didn't go. My dad and my little nephew were there around 7 p.m. I found out, but they left before the shooting started. And I said, listen, man, you guys got to be careful where you go. This evilness is everywhere. It's different pockets in the country of the evilness, man. And it's sick.
In hospital. CTV's Hafsa Araf has the details.
Families are on site in Africville today, packing up their belongings and grappling with Saturday's shooting.
Right? Black people's worst enemy is Black people. I'll say it again. Black people's worst enemy is other Black people. Right? Like, Black people are like self-hating. I'm not a self-hateful. I don't hate myself. And I don't hate other Black men or Black women. This is not me.
People screaming, people falling, running, falling, children crying.
As the families prepare to leave, police are hunting for 2 gunmen who exchanged shots in a crowd of people during the annual Africville reunion.
They were struck with gunfire and they were taken to hospital, like I say, with what were believed to be at that point non-life-threatening injuries. There was one individual that was in their late teens that was taken for life-threatening injuries.
CTV News has been told the injured teen is still in hospital.
My heart is saying that it aches and it's painful because of we have people that are injured. And this is something they have to think about for the rest of their life.
Community
And how many people out there, including myself, that have lost family members through gun violence, through other parts of violence, where there's no justice. So again, if there's no justice in these stories, you're going to have other family members showing up and showing out because they don't care.
members believe some at the event know the people involved.
People know who did this.
Of course.
Never mind this. They say, I don't want to be a snitch.
They don't. They've been saying that for years. They don't. They don't say nothing. They could see somebody lose their life on the sidewalk and they will not say nothing. They're not going to say nothing because they don't care. Don't know, don't care. So I don't believe to be a victim in their sick game of chess.
Speak out. It's time for it to stop.
It's not going to stop. I'll be calling on this stuff to stop since I've been 18. I'm 35. I'm like, yo, how, if you're going to a family reunion, you're going there to enjoy the company of your other family. These guys don't even enjoy the company of themselves. Why would I expect them to enjoy the company of other family? They're hateful individuals. They don't know, don't care. They just don't. People need to wrap their head around it. If you have a society where people don't respect the government of the society, you're going to have problems. Narratives have consequences.
In the last 41 years of hosting the Africville reunion, it's the first time something like this has happened.
It was just,
Yeah, like 41 years. I remember as a kid going to the family reunion. We'd go, we pull up, park at Seaville Park, and just relax, take it easy. This is a time of relaxing, not anger and hateful rhetoric and like, no. And then you add in social media. It's like what did you say about me on social media? And then you add that into it too. So yeah, it's not going to be, it's sick, man.
it was just chaos here. And then I was with my friend, and she learned that her granddaughter had been shot.
Oh, it's sick.
Her niece had been shot. Another cousin of mine was shot in the leg.
The incident so devastating.
And by the way, these guys traveled from like Ontario, Calgary, British Columbia, all different parts of the country. All different parts of in America too, right? Like United States and Canada, to come to the family reunion. And this is what happened. It's so crazy.
Devastating. Some even say they may not return.
Will they be able to face and do things like this again? Would they want to come out into the community? Will they want to go to an event?
There is no community. If there was a community, this would not have happened. Like it didn't happen in the 41 years that you guys been holding the event. You guys been holding the event for 41 years. And all of a sudden, two hateful individuals show up and are shooting at each other in a crowded venue. Okay, is there security cameras there? Did anybody have any footage of these people? Like, I got to do research on this, man. This is a sick thing.
Event of such, magnitude as this?
Yeah, I mean, it's epic proportions.
Maybe not. It's traumatizing.
We will not allow the incidents of Saturday to define who we are as a people. We definitely won't. We are Africville strong.
The Africville Genealogy Society has called an emergency meeting tomorrow evening. The president is requesting a safety audit be done to determine the safety measures or security measures needed for next year's event. Todd?
And we'll certainly watch for that. CTV's Hafsa Arif in our help.
Okay, so let's see what else we can find on here, man. I mean, it's just sick, man. It just makes my stomach turn. When I found this out yesterday, it just made my stomach turn. And I believe it's a lot of it. Social media, cost of living, all of it. Who's this? I don't know who said that, but this white woman said this quote: "I can't think of a better activity to commensurate Africville than a shootout. That's what this white woman said. I'm gonna put your scum, and I'm gonna post my link in her chat, so she knows I know she's scum. Right? This is a white woman, liberal white woman, wishing for people to shoot at each other. People like that I don't respect. I never will respect. Ever in life, ever. Approximately at 10 p.m. on Saturday, July 27th, Halifax police responded to reports of multiple shots fired at an event at Africville Park. Two men exchanged gunfire and shots went into the surrounding crowd, striking 5 people. So, you know, it's very sad. And there's change that needs to happen, man. I think change is coming, but how are we going to get there is going to be very difficult. So I just posted that. I don't think there's any video. What's this here? This is the families. So it says Africville Strong, and then it shows all the family name. I want to see if my family name is there. Where is it? No, I don't see it. No, it's not there. I don't see it. So here's some of the images. Here's some of the images here. Right? That's what the police do. They go there and they caution it off. You know what I'm saying? They caution off to do their forensics test. Right? Test for forensics. Oh, it's crazy, man. It's not, man, listen, things have changed. And the people of the community need to realize that. Right? One of the many communities in Nova Scotia, partially descendant from the Black Redcoats, was Africville, a Black community destroyed in the 1960s in the name of urban renewal. Yep. Very true. You know, there's my pastor there. I know he's really upset. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. Let's see. Right, like they give them a hotline. Like you got to give more than a hotline. Okay, here's
the blessing of God. It's raining. The blessing of God. It's raining. Of a blessing and joy. So it doesn't matter where you stand. Please enjoy your day. We're here today to acknowledge our history and how we got here. To share with you, I was last 3 days in Ottawa, being part of the Black parliamentarian in this country. First time in the history of this country. I can tell you, it was an emotional space.
Okay, hold on. Let me show. I got this other article here. Let's see. I just looked it up. Here it is here.
When we come back to Africville once a year, we come back home. And when our home is disturbed, we're disturbed.
This was supposed to be a night of celebration for the 41st annual Africville reunion. But the festivities came to an abrupt halt when shots were fired into the crowd, striking 5 bystanders and sending attendees running for their lives.
This
Crazy, man.
horrendous act took place by no former residents of Africville. And we're furious and we're hurt. And I am livid that my grandchildren, my nieces and my nephews had to go through that last night. It was like being in a war zone.
Well, to the sister, we live in a war zone. And until people start to realize that, I don't know what else to tell you. It's an attack on the family. It's attacking the Black community. It's attacking the white community. They are attacking the fundamental ideals of this country. I cover mass shootings on my channel. I cover mass shootings in America. I covered Trump's what is it called? assassin when he tried to take a former president. That was a couple weeks ago, July 13th. I covered that on this channel. So I would expect violence is going to erupt in family events, like venues. This is going on. This has been going on for the last 3 to 4 years. And you can blame the people that are in power. You can blame Justin Trudeau. You can blame Joe Biden, because politics is downstream to culture. If you have bad politics, then you have bad culture. Right? Yeah, if you have bad politics, yeah, right? This is what's been going on, man. And I've been covering it for a long time. So I'm shocked because the ancestry in Africville, it should have never happened in the first place. And no grandchild or no grandchildren, no grandbabies, no children should ever be put in those predicaments. But you have hateful people that run the government, and then you have hateful people that walk amongst people that are not like that. Like, it's sick. It's been going on, though. Here you go.
Police were called to the scene around 10 p.m. Saturday night, but the gunmen were nowhere to be found.
At this point, we don't have specific suspect information.
Of course you
But,
don't.
certainly, we do want to assure the public, and our investigators do believe at this point that we don't believe this to be a random incident.
5 individuals were caught.
Yeah, it's these guys know each other. You said something about me on social media. You had sex with my girlfriend. That person might have had sex with his girlfriend. Whatever. There might be prior beef to them showing up and seeing each other, not liking each other. That's what it is.
In the crossfire, including one teenager.
These young people, and I say young people with a capital Y, came into Africville of all places and started a war. How
Yep, they did.
dare they disrupt something like that?
It's not even.
Yeah, well, again, I'm 35 years old. I went to Africville many, many times. That is before I moved to Nova Scotia, or moved to Ontario. I went to Africville lots of times. Very fun, very family oriented. It's fun. I love it. So again, when I hear this story, I'm like, yo, this stuff is creeping up. It's just creeping up. It's getting a little bit too close now. It's evilness. Again, there's different pockets in the country of the evilness. Now, again, to the sister, you say, how dare they? I've been saying, how dare they for years. I've been saying, how dare they for years. This is why I don't frequent back to Nova Scotia too much, because my actions of how dare they, my words of how dare they turn into actions. And I ain't trying to give up my freedom for how dare they. You get what I'm saying? So this is why I stay where I'm at. Because I don't have a temper for it. I just don't. The bozo clown world, idiots of life. I just don't have it. I don't have a tolerance for it. Like, I just don't. Like, I'm just keeping it real. They're just cogs in a machine. These are the same people that for years have told me that I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, I shouldn't think that way. Oh, you, Jeanette, Jay, you don't know what you're talking about. Just relax. And all while you're watching the country be destroyed in real time because they don't care.
A war. How dare they disrupt something like that?
It's not even so much the events. It's the camaraderie, just that reuniting.
There is none of that. They don't care about fellow black people. Black people don't care about black people. White people don't care about white people. Like, it is a war zone. It is how I just covered a story of liberal white women talking about their race. Man, it's just sick.
To let us know that we're still here.
By the way, they can't talk to people that disagree with them. We know that. I can respect if they could talk to people that disagree with them, but they can't do it. They shut down. Oh, you believe this? Okay, what's your facts to back up why you believe this? They shut down. So no. I would expect violence, and this is just so you know, this is just a prerequisite for what is to come. I know this for sure. I'm 100% accurate. People message me all the time on Instagram like, "Hey man, you were right. Joe Biden did drop out." I was like, "I told you."
Here, this incident was not the doings of Africville people.
The investigation
Oh, I
is
believe
currently
that.
ongoing, and police are
Did I not say forensics cautioned it off? Did I not say forensics cautioned it off during this stream? I said, yo, the forensics people cautioned it off. Look, what does that say? Forensics. They're looking for bullet fragments at a family reunion. This is why I don't go to these things anymore. Nope, I don't. Nope. They're looking for bullet fragments at a family reunion, and this makes the black community, right? Because I say things that people are afraid to say. So just because of the shooting, it doesn't define the people at the family reunion, right? It doesn't define them, but because of the shooting, because it's in Canada, they're gonna try to paint Africville now in the coming years in the next reunion as a place where you could go there and lose your life. You could go there and lose your life. You could just be in the crowd with your family, granddaughter, whoever, and you could go there and shots ring on, and you could get injured. That's how they're going to paint it. So anyway, the media is already doing that now. Look, forensics
is currently ongoing, and police are asking anyone with information to come forward.
At this point, there is no evidence to suggest that it certainly.
There is no evidence. There is no evidence, but we have forensics looking for evidence. See how they lie? Look at this shit. Yo, there's no evidence, but we have forensics with what's that called? A metal detector scouting through there to look for evidence. But they don't have any, though.
Is currently ongoing, and police are asking anyone with information to come forward.
At this point, there is no evidence to suggest that
he's looking for evidence. What are you talking about?
The nature of the event had any significance other than the individual that may have been there that was targeted.
My family was in the midst of that gunfire, and yes, I was running towards it.
So she was running towards bullets. Wow. You got elder black women running towards bullet fire. This woman is a superhero. I believe this.
And those bullets were flying all over.
She's a superhero.
Global News, Halifax.
All right? She's running towards the bullets. You know what? I respect it. You know why? Because she's not a coward. She didn't run away. She ran towards it. So I respect it. You know, and I know she's upset, and I don't blame her, man. Not at all. I don't fault her at all. Because she just wanted to go there and appreciate, you know what I'm saying, the heritage of Africville, just kind of just relax with her family and her loved ones. And all of a sudden, you know, there's unwanted, hateful, you know what I'm saying, evilness that show up to try to destruct. If you're a Christian in this country, they don't want you to be happy. They don't want you to cherish family. They don't want you getting with women. They don't want women getting with men. And I blame the people. I blame the hierarchy. I blame the people that are in office. Simple. That's my grievance. Right? There's my channel right there. So, you know, the history is there. I think it's disgusting. I really do. I think it's disgusting. I was just here a couple of weeks ago, you know, with a chick, and we were talking about Africville. And then yesterday and Sunday, I found out that this happened. It's just sick. So again, my condolences goes out to the families of the victims. It's just a stain it's just a stain, man. And it needs to stop. But it's not going to stop. Once you realize it's not going to stop, then you start to realize what you realize. Okay, let's see what else we got going on here. Is the Toronto news? He has a road rage incident. Let's see. I don't know what this is, man. Okay, I think there's some videos of Africville that we can go through. Okay, so here's the history here.
There is something intangible about the places we gather. Over time, the walls of those places come to hold not just their inhabitants, but a kind of collective spirit, what historians might call collective memory. Away from
City for welfare, we were
of Seaview African United Baptist, what historians might call collective memory, a way for people to relate, share, and remember their identity and their history. In a small town outside Halifax, Nova Scotia, in 2011, a church was built in an attempt to be an exact replica of a church that once stood in the same spot over 40 years prior. But despite its architectural resemblance, this new church was empty of the collective memory that had filled its predecessor for over 100 years. Instead, it carried a new memory, that of racism, discrimination, and displacement.
Still going on today.
Memory of the town of Africville, which began as a settlement of newly free African Nova Scotians and persevered against all odds, and of Seaview African United Baptist Church that became the heart and soul of the town until one night the government bulldozed it down.
Okay, there it is right there. The government bulldozed their community, and they have yet to give reparations to my family and, you know what I'm saying, my ancestry and the ancestry of my family members' ancestry. The government has still yet to give reparations for them destroying their community. This is why I'm anti-government, and this is why if you're not talking about the reparations, if you're not talking about, like, you know what I'm saying, good policies, I don't want to hear from you. I just don't.
Baptist Church that became the heart and soul of the town until one night the government bulldozed it down.
Like, this is what the government did to my community. I'm gonna play it again. Listen.
One night the government bulldozed it down.
But that's what the government did to my community, my ancestry community. So yeah, I'm anti. That's why I cover the politics so much, because I'm like, oh, so this is all a plan. They have a plan. 10 years, 5 years, they have a plan. You know what I'm saying?
Do you have a Canadian small business that needs financing?
So I'm just gonna play some of this so you can get the history.
After the American Revolution and the War of 1812, large groups of Black settlers began coming to Nova Scotia, having been promised land and freedom. In most cases,
yep, they were lied to.
That was technically true. However, because of racism, new Black settlers were pushed to the fringes, forced to found new settlements on the most barren and undesirable tracts of land. One of those settlements was Africville, a small community founded on the outskirts of Halifax in 1836.
Yeah, that's my community, baby. That's it right there. It's my ancestry.
We live in our own homes out here, detached homes, where our children can run around.
Africville existed in a strange limbo. The community was never really officially established. It was part of Richmond, but Halifax acted like it didn't exist. The town never received proper roads, health services, clean water, sewage treatment, street lamps, or electricity. Well contamination was so prominent that residents had to boil their water before cooking or drinking. Social services were just as bad. Up until 1933, Africville had never had a properly trained teacher. But due to rampant poverty, many parents had to keep their kids home from school anyways, so they could work.
And I bet you marriage in the Black community, my community, was probably at the 70% clip, because they were homeschooling their children.
Or look at
morals, values, principles
after the other children. In Africville's first elementary school, of the 140 students registered, only 60 of them reached grade 7, and only 5 ever made it to grade 10. This was exacerbated by the fact that Halifax used Africville like a dumping ground, both literally and figuratively, for undesirable facilities. In 1958, they moved the landfill to Africville,
Where the pavement ended.
So remember what he just said. They took the landfill of the downtown core of Halifax and they moved it into the Black community. Like, that's how much the government doesn't like Black people.
Built again. And where Africville ended, the city dump began.
They took the city dump and they put that to the Black community in Halifax. And my mom always asked me, well, why do you care what they say? This is why I care. Because they did something wrong, and until they correct that, I'm gonna be on their throat. I don't care. And again, I think Donald Trump is better than a Joe Biden, a Kamala Harris, and an Obama. Yes, I do believe it, because they don't talk about what the government has done to destroy the Black community. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about that. And I'm happy that the Republicans are actually talking about it. But anyway.
I think the majority of the people from Africville felt the dump was a blessing because through the dump,
No, I don't think so, dog.
we were able to get the materials that we couldn't afford to buy.
It was sometime around Christmas when we picked up a newspaper. And then it was the story.
Let me respond to the brother when he said the dump was a blessing. Let me explain to why I don't think the dump is a blessing. The dump is not a blessing because those same people that they put the same people that think that the dump was a blessing, they put those people's families into government housing, put them on social programs. So no, I don't agree with that. I think that dump was detrimental to my community. I think the dump was definitely detrimental to the Black community.
The dump was.
Funerals. Other groups from across the area.
What did I say? In my community, and this reflects to the Americans, the Black community in America as well. Under these policies, like under the thumb of the government, of my ancestry, marriage was important. Like to think that marriage wasn't important back then is really insane. But like today, they don't think marriage is important because of social media and the validation and the digital addiction that they have. They don't think they don't really need anyone. So it's really funny. But again, Kevin Samuels even called it. He said, under Jim Crow and segregation, marriage in the Black community was plus 70%. Now today, it's single parent households, childless cat ladies, single family structure systems, female-led households, and their children are being raised without a father. The young boys are being raised without a father. You know what I'm saying? And the young boys being raised without a father become very emotional, not masculine, become more feminine. Yes? See, I'm thankful that my mom and dad are still married today. I'm very thankful for that. You know what I'm saying? But I think it would have been a little bit different if I didn't have my father in my life. I think any son, any child that doesn't have their father in their life or their mother in their life, it changes the trajectory on their ideology and what they believe moving forward as they're growing up. But what do I know? I'm just a nigga on YouTube. I don't know nothing. So whatever, that's what the narrative is. And again, narratives have consequences. But in my community, marriage was important. Right? That's why the nuclear family to me is very important.
Groups from
let's continue.
Across the area came to the church for Sunday picnics. What Africville lacked in amenities, it made up for in community. Yet, in spite of over a century of history, everything was about to change.
We've got passion, we've got determination. And if we set our sights on something, you better believe it's happening.
The end of the 40s and into the 50s saw the post-war boom in Canada. Governments across the country began to enter a new stage of urban renewal. The sentiment spread across the country that people living in areas designated as slums could be relocated to improved housing.
Because
they put you in government housing, baby.
Slum. It is. And who made it like that? The city is the cause of all of it.
Halifax City Council voted unanimously to adopt the relocation proposal. The relocation
Like, this is what they said about my people, man. But we got to find out, were they Democrats? That's my next thing I need to find out. So let me do a quick Google search, because this is the first time I've done this, so I want to see. I wasn't gonna do this story, but I have to do it just so I don't forget. But I wanted to see if there were Democrats that voted for those policies, and if they are, you better just hope they're not, because I'm gonna go 100 times deep. So the government recognized its commemorative site. They said it was a museum. Africa was founded by Black and Wisconsin variant of origins. Many of the first settlers were formerly enslaved African Americans. So when they say, "Oh, well, you're in Canada, you don't know what you're talking about," stop the cap. But let me look at this thing. I just want to see. Okay, so economy, education, church, hockey, relationship with Halifax, raising, former relocation. Okay. Resident lines were moved out of garbage trucks, but I want to know if they were Democrats, though, man. Any former residents believe the city council had no plans to turn African industrial site. Following payment. I don't know how you would find it. Okay, hold on. Let me look at this one. Okay, hold on. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I got to figure out how I'm going to do it. So let's go to this one. So it's a city. Okay, Africville City Council. I'm just looking right now. No, I don't think so. Okay, hold on. What's this one here? I don't know. I downloaded something, though. I got to see. When I done the state of power post-war Canada. Is there anything more to say about Africville? The word resonates. Okay. Bedford Basin Black community. Halifax, Noise Corporation. Association, British Columbia. Africville, believe it. See, I have to go and research it, man. But I can't. That's something that I'm going to definitely have to do. But they got a whole article here, but it's not saying if they were Democrats or not. But I think they were, man. I really believe that. I'm dying to find out. Making progress, many African were appalled not only because of the substandard housing, lack of sewage, contaminated water. Okay. Raising everyone, integrated people. Oh, I found it. It was progressive policies. Look, I'm going to read it. There it is right there. Yo, I found it. I'm going to read it. It says, razzing Africville. Let me highlight it. Yo! Razzing Africville and integrating the people who live there defined progressive politics and social action at the time. It was a war to fight discrimination and articulate and defend human rights. Indeed, it was progress. It was not only the manifestation of progressive politics and social action. So they were Democrats. The wave of urban renewal that swept Africville away was part of a larger one that hit North American cities in the post-war period and part of the broader liberal moment in the province. Singled out for its racism by one social scientist in 1949, Nova Scotia took important legislative steps towards equality during the 1950s and early 1960s, dropping a clause in its Education Act that sanctioned segregated schools for blacks and passing laws regarding fair employment and accommodation practices, as well as its first Human Rights Act. At the same time, the province also succeeded in the modernization, the system of social welfare, finally replacing the poor law, which had not been significantly revised since 1879, with Social Assistance Acts 1956 and 1958. But yeah, look, the alliance of progressives forwards around Africville brought together blacks and whites. So they were so it was Democrats. And it was and it was Jewish too. There was organizers, right? In 1957, Sid Blum of the Jewish Labor Committee traveled to the province interviewing blacks about their experience with discrimination. So it's progressives. So the progressives ruined Africville. Oh man, that's crazy.
It began in 1964.
The disappearance of Africville in the
Crazy.
1960s was attributed to urban renewal. There was a program which included wholesale rehousing and swept across Europe and North America. The urban renewal
progressive and liberal
was intended
policies
to make
once
things
again.
better and displaced hundreds of thousands on both continents. Ultimately, it was clear it was a failure.
In a very real sense, the black people in the wider community of our province were not sensitive enough to unite, to come together, and to fight this blatant denial of people's human rights. That you could not think, that you could not make decisions, that we do all your decision making for you. And that was what happened in Africville. We went through the exercise of having meetings with the people there, but behind it all, decisions had already been made. That was prime land. That was important land. That this kind of land was not for the black people.
The city began approaching residents of Africville with offers to buy their homes. The problem was many of the residents of Africville lived in homes built by their ancestors. They had no deed, no paperwork of any kind proving that they owned the home. They never needed any. Out of all the residents of Africville, only 14 had clear legal title. For those without paperwork, the city offered $500, about $5,000 adjusted for inflation today, and promises of future allowances.
I remember the city saying to these people, if you're not over there by the time the bulldozer gets finished with one home, then your home will be bulldozed over. You won't give the $500. You won't get the $500 the city is promising to give people. You won't get a home for
$500 to give up your home.
I remember church.
Yo, that's amazing.
I remember Mrs. Mountain.
Give up, right? To give up your home is man. I told you.
Tore it down. Never took a stitch of furniture. Gave her time to take a stitch of furniture out of her home and knocked it down. They bulldozed. Mr. James's store was in the hospital. The Ampel Hospital.
How much would $500 be? I mean, this is a really great article here. He says, discovered Halifax, the place where black women graduate secretarial school discovered the promises of employment made over the telephone evaporate when they turned up in person, where white barbers refused to cut black men's hair. I just can't believe it. And they wonder why I say what I say. Like, look what that says, man. Right? You know, there's a whole article on this right here. It's really amazing. Anyway, it's getting late. Let me finish this up. Okay, let's continue on.
And they bulldozed his house down. The man didn't even know. He come out the hospital, had no place to go.
And I remember my son coming home one night and he said, Mom, he said, the church is going.
There's Ivory and Carvey right there. Like the young, he's a little younger. So he's definitely, he says, Africville strong. I agree with that.
Gone. This is about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, young people being out. And I said, oh, no. I said, can't be. I said, it can't be. I said, no, Mom. He said, it's flat to the ground.
Still inside the church were vital records of birth, marriage, and death certificates that could have been used to establish chain of custody for land claims.
Yep.
Why were those documents still inside the church? After all, an official document shows that the city purchased the church in 1967. And based on their past history, the residents must have known the church was due to be demolished at any moment. The truth is, the city did not gain control of the church until 1968, and government officials doctored the documents to make it appear that demolishing the church was done lawfully.
More Democrat policies. You see what they did?
In 1968, and government officials doctored the documents to make it appear that demolishing the church was done lawfully.
Jesus Christ.
The last home in Africville was demolished on the 2nd of January, 1970, but the destruction of the church was the unofficial end of the community.
They took our homes. They moved us out of Africville in the city garbage trucks. We had a lot better out there than some places they put us in this city. We haven't even got enough to put down one payment for a home. Nothing. I'm living on welfare. I think a whole lot of us.
That's what they wanted.
When we came in this city, we had to go on welfare.
That's what they wanted.
In that city of Africville, you look in the records and see how many Africville people had to humble and come to the city for welfare. We were too independent. We didn't.
In my community, we were independent thinkers, believers. That's what they don't want. So again, Democrat policies.
Didn't want it. We earned our own living, and we earned it the honest way.
That's right.
Our boys never had so much trouble until they came in the city.
There you go.
The city had lofty promises.
Right? So, man, this is why I keep saying the Democrats are the party of slavery.
But they did not come to fruition. In general, relocated residents had a higher cost of living and a higher unemployment rate. The government promised employment and education programs, but they were never implemented. Residents relocated
because they lied.
Higher unemployment rate. The government promised employment and education programs, but they were never implemented. Residents relocated to community housing and promised social supports, but within 3 years, the city ended all social assistance programs designed to help the residents of Africville.
When you're in this country and you own a piece of property, you're not a second-class citizen. That's why my people own this land. They work for it, they toil for it, and they work to get this little piece of land that they own, and they try to hang on it. But when your land is being taken away from you and you ain't offered nothing, then you become a peasant in any man's country.
Yeah, that's right.
The spot where Africville stood also never lived up to the potential promised by the city. A highway was put through part of it, but surviving residents of Africville and their children never stopped protesting. As a result of the continued backlash in the 80s, the land where houses once stood and families made a life for themselves became a memorial park, preventing it from being developed. In 2002, Halifax Mayor Peter Kelly offered some money and land services to create a replica of the Seaview African United Baptist Church, and the site that once held Africville became a historic site that year. 8 years later, in 2010, Halifax offered an official apology as part of a $4.5 million compensation deal that included the church replica and a heritage museum.
On behalf of the Halifax Region of
they got a little bit
I apologize to the former Africville residents and their descendants for what they have endured for almost 50 years. Ever since the loss of your community, which stood on the shores of Bedford Basin for some 150 years. You lost your homes, your church, all the places in which you gathered with your family and friends to share and mark the milestones of your lives. For all of that, we apologize. We realize words cannot undo what has been done, but we are profoundly sorry and apologize to each and every one of you. Our history cannot be rewritten, but thankfully, the future is a blank page. And starting today, we hold the pen for which we can write a shared tomorrow. It is in that spirit of respect and reconciliation that we ask for your forgiveness.
And yes, white women did go to the barbecues.
It's one of the nicest little communities I ever.
So my whole thoughts is, even though he apologized, right, still needs reparations. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna tell you something. I've been around this world twice. I've never met a place like Africville. Never.
But Mr. Steed, everybody thought it was such a bad place.
Who?
all the people who tore it down.
Oh, the people that tore it down. That's the people that tore it down, the city of Halifax, the authorities of the city of Halifax.
They said it was a bad place.
That's what they called it. But it was not to us, it was a heaven, a home, a real home.